Welcome back to the Pro Football Pod. We've got Friday Funday for the fans, bringing it to you for the first time this fiscal year. Week 9 coming up. We got some heavy matchups, especially the first one starting off at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. What do
Starting
you
off
boys think?
with the
Germany.
bang.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag is right. Doesn't that mean thank you? I
Good
think that
morning.
means thank you. Well, thank you. Guten Tag, NFL.
Bigton. Bigton is your welcome.
Yeah,
How
okay.
do you know this, Austin? That I've known you your
Our
entire
mother, our
life.
mother went to Germany for school, brother. She came back with a little bit of lunch for us boys. I had to dress up as a little German boy in 5th grade and greet people as they came in through the door.
Well, there you go, man.
Guten Tag. Guten Tag. But
Love
yeah,
it.
let's get it on over there. Fins up, baby.
First game ever in Frankfurt, Germany. So that's pretty exciting. Also, the first time that Tyreek Hill has ever had to play against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and I as much as I
That's
wish for the storyline it was in Kansas City,
y'all.
that for the first game in Germany, like I said, this is starting the week off with a bang. The Dolphins have been there all week. The Chiefs just got there, I believe, today.
Ooh.
So it's a little. I don't know what their thought process is on that. May just we're flying over for a business trip type of thing. The Chiefs really haven't done much media from what I can tell as far as like this game goes. So I don't know if it's one of those like they're just waiting in the weeds, waiting to pounce, cheetah type of thing.
I'm pretty sure that they've just wanted to talk to the Dolphins so bad so that they could try to build up all these storylines. I love that this is an away game for the Dolphins and that the Chiefs' home game is played in Frankfurt. Now, it's going to be crazy because this stadium is way bigger than Arrowhead. These stadiums are coliseums compared to regular stadiums over here in the US. They hold way more people. The acoustics are way different. So it's going to be crazy for both sides. I just hope that there's a lot of Finns fans there, which I heard before the season that Germany was mostly Dolphins fans. Like the majority of the fans in Germany were Finns fans, which just means that they're old heads. I love it though.
Do you think that this game has maybe a slow start to it because these teams are a little afraid to open it up? We know what they're capable of, but like,
I don't think either team will be afraid to open it up. I think that we'll see both offenses try to test the waters right away. Both of these defenses have been playing well. The Chiefs have been playing a lot better, but the Dolphins have been improving throughout the season. They're still top 5 in sacks so far, and there's a lot of promise, especially with Jalen Ramsey coming back last week.
definitely think there's gonna be a lot of trickery being pulled out on the Chiefs end and the Dolphins end. Like you guys have been doing a lot of movement in the backfield with moving Tyreek and moving Waddle. I definitely like the over in this game, the 50 sitting there. I feel like it has to hit it, but it's gonna hit it by 1 or 2 points if it does. Like it's all the games come down to the wire, but
Well, especially these overseas games are typically not very high scoring
and
just
the
because
early morning ones.
time difference, like complete time difference. And that's why the Dolphins did get over there so much earlier because McDaniel made a point to say it in his press conference that when you're training like and getting prepared remotely, like away from your home facility, you want to get used to doing that. And he even mentioned, like the Super Bowl. He was like, when you go to the Super Bowl, there's teams that's the first time they're practicing away from their home facility, preparing for the game away. They're away the whole time. He was like, so why not just go over there? And he was like, and plus, these guys get to see a country that they'll probably never see in their lives.
I like that. I like trying to prepare your team for the end of the season now, getting them a little bit of adversity and seeing how they handle it, and so that they can learn what to do and what practice things to do and how to handle practicing over in Germany. 1.5 for the Dolphins is, I mean, that they know how close this game is supposed to be.
I think the Chiefs
It's
favored though. I
See
think they're
that
giving the Kansas City favor because they're technically home.
it's
And so
it
the
has
Bucks have to do that.
shifted because I want to say the line opened up at the Chiefs -3.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah,
has definitely shifted a good bit in the Dolphins' favor. A lot of money flying in on the Dolphins here. But looking into the player prop lines, we were all kind of discussing them pre-show. We kind of all like Tua's over 271.5 according to FanDuel. I'd want to pound that over, but that's one of those that Vegas makes me think it's a trap for whatever reason, whether it's the overseas game. The Chiefs do have a really solid defense this year. So I think people are going to overlook that fact when it does come to these bets this week. Now, Raheem Mostert's over 53.5, and even more so, Jeff Wilson's over 16.5 rushing yards. See a lot of value in those, as well as Patrick Mahomes over 22.5 rushing yards.
the Chiefs are 26th in rushing yards per game so far this season, and the Dolphins at week 4 were easily the number one rushing attack in the entire NFL. I think that that's
I
the
believe they
thing.
still are.
I think the thing that people aren't thinking about with this game is that fact that the Dolphins are going to run the ball really well, and the Chiefs haven't been able to stop that. They're going to win this game. That's all that they care about. They don't care about putting up 36 points on the Chiefs. They don't care about putting up 500 yards. They care about winning this football game. So I think that I'd be afraid of too many player props except for the rushing. I think the rushing is the only thing the Chiefs can do is clamp down on rushing, which they haven't been able to do all season. So that would be
Unless it's Tyreek Hill props.
I'm about to
Like
say or
Tyreek
prop.
Hill at over 92.5 receiving yards.
Best
Hammer
prop of
that.
the day.
He's clearing 100. He's going to clear 100.
He's gonna clear
And
100 every game.
what's he
plays.
giving you for a touchdown?
anytime touchdowns -145. So you're getting squeezing a little juice there, but I still believe that's worth it. You combine his over receiving yards and his anytime touchdown and get that at +154. And I still would feel confident in that. He's
Well,
already said he has a touchdown dance that he has been preparing for weeks specifically for this game. Now,
it,
you coming out and saying that, you better get your ass in the end zone.
I just
Yeah.
there's not one that's going to be better than the "you got served" dance. Like for the rest of the season, there's not one that's going to be better than that one. Like that was next level. We've spent about 8 minutes talking about the Dolphins game, so that sounds about right. Let's go ahead and move on to the Rams at the Packers.
Rams at Packers. What we looking at in the spread here, boys?
+3 for the Rams.
This is a dicey game.
What do
I
we
don't
know
like
about
either side.
Stafford's thumb?
The last I saw, he wasn't playing. Let me look him up right now.
Stand by.
So I definitely like a get right game for Jordan Love here. It's it's about time he's due for it. Their team's finally getting healthy. So yeah, and he's been crushing it in the rushing capability. He's been just progressively getting better with that. So
So here's the
I
thing
like
I
his
don't like.
rushing yards.
It says that the key to the veteran playing against the Packers could come down to whether or not he can grip the ball.
Yeah,
That's
they don't have
bad
any player
news.
props for any Rams players listed right now because of
Yeah.
that.
And so
Yep.
this might be a good spot to just hammer the Packers finally for -3. I mean,
even
they need
because you got to
a
think,
game.
even if he's playing with a sore thumb to where he's going to still have some issues gripping the ball,
Exactly.
and it's in Green Bay, so it's not
Yeah.
going to be.
And Green
fun.
Bay's secondary has been solid so far this year.
There's
Just
a
not the
reason the
run.
over under is only at 38.5, and I think this is a game where that under is probably a very solid bet.
I'm
Green Bay's
probably
run D has looked like Swiss cheese, no pun intended, but like Rams have can run the ball.
yeah, but if all they can do is run the ball, it's hard to do that when you put 8 or 9 in the box. You know what I mean? Like if you got nobody throwing the ball. I think that the Puka is probably someone that's not worth starting this week if Stafford misses.
It's sketchy.
It's sketchy. It's not like he can do nothing, and Cooper Cup's just gonna draw a lot more attention from whoever the backup quarterback is because he is a premier receiver. Puka should be open, but like the ability to get him the ball will be the issue, and they're probably preparing for it all week. McVay's smart like that, but I think that they're going to rely on Darrell Henderson and Royce Freeman. So Austin, I think you're right. The running game is where it's going to be for the Rams.
Yeah. I mean, they're always able to script up something to get themselves in the end zone, make it competitive. This next game's should be competitive. You got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Houston Texans. Houston is favored by 3 points.
Getting the
Tampa Bay has lost the last 3 games.
home spread there.
Yeah. I like the over-under in this one. I think that this could go over 40 points. Both teams have been
Over
showing that they
40.
can get in the end zone pretty frequently.
Yeah, that was close to breaking their last game versus the Panthers, and I think the Bucks have a better offense.
Yeah.
I do like the Texans in that game, so if I had to lean, I'd go the Texans on the -3 there for sure.
I'll hammer
Um,
you with that.
Player prop wise,
There's good
CJ
receiving
Stroud
work.
said it. CJ Stroud and Baker Mayfield are both set at 236.5 passing yards.
I think they can both exceed that.
I like
Um,
Stroud's over. You're getting that lower than you got last week because he underperformed last week. So I
mhm.
think you go ahead and you take the free money on that one. Baker's, that one scares me a little more because I could see him going either way.
What are the yards?
236.5.
The
Yeah,
Texans' pass defense has been pretty solid throughout the season, but they were mostly really good in the first couple weeks and then have been teetering off a bit. I think that Mike Evans should be healthy by now too, so you should see a healthy receiving core for Tampa Bay. That could have some impact into that game.
I think you'll be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the Buccaneers win this game just because Damian Pierce being out. That's huge for the running
He's
game
out.
for the Texans. Yeah, and
Devin Singletary's been playing solid though.
yeah, no, he has been, but I just don't think that the Texans have shown their true identity enough for us to be like, oh yeah, they can win this game by 3 easy money. Like it should be a pick 'em game because the Tampa Bay's defense will keep them in this game regardless, and we know what Baker can do under pressure. So I like his over in rushing yards. I think he'll get loose out the pocket.
Yeah, it's also set pretty low, like 10.5.
10, 10.5, yeah.
Yeah. So one solid scramble, you get that.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to the next game, we've got the Washington Commanders going into the New England to face the Patriots. Patriots -2.5 at home, over under set at 40.5. Where y'all leaning on that one?
This one is tough. Washington just got rid of their whole D line. So I mean, the best pieces of it, you got New England. They haven't looked like anything all year long. I
You
lean
say that they got rid of their best
Washington because of
pieces.
Sam Howell. We
Chase
can't
has
hear you,
some.
Colby.
You say they got rid of the best pieces, but
We still can't.
honestly, you sh-
So I lean Washington
On
just because of what Sam showed me.
on defense,
Oh, I can hear y'all.
yeah, they obviously Montez Sweat and Chase Young are going to be a big shot at their defensive line. But they know it's also saving them money down the road to try to build out. And
Chase Young hasn't been doing much. Not this year. He's been hurt for
no,
them for
and
his most of
that's
his
the
career.
thing. Do you invest in somebody like that? Because I mean, it as the great as the talent is, it's just you can't afford to do that, especially when you see the way Sam Howell's playing. It's oh, We need to maybe start allocating some assets towards this offensive line instead of this defensive line.
Exactly. Instead of relying on our defense, let's maybe build up our offense a little bit,
Because
and that.
they've gone so defensive heavy in their drafts, especially in the first round, like the last 7 years. They have like 4 Alabama players in their front 7. I mean, which solid players, great. Your defense is halfway solid, but like they've seen, they're having to start looking to allocate assets in other places there.
Yeah.
Looking at player props in this, I'm seeing not a whole lot of stuff that's just like screaming at me. Ramondre Stevenson over 49.5 rushing yards. I like Zeke's over 32.5 more. Brian Robinson 40.5. I really don't like that. I honestly would almost lean the under just because he hasn't been very effective with his carries.
Ramondre's totals over the last 6 weeks have been 39, 34, 46, 24, and 30. So, like, I feel you on that. He hasn't even been getting 48.5. So, I think the under is more likely. This could be his breakout game, but, like, betting off of the odds of what's been happening, it's more likely that he gets nothing.
Now,
Uh,
Jahan Dotson over 42.5 receiving yards. I like that, especially with Curtis Samuel being out.
Yeah, the only time he went over that was last week, but he did 108 last week, and he's getting targets too, with Curtis Samuel being out, so I think that's huge.
Yep. So it's hard right now, especially with it being Friday. They don't have a lot of the player props posted. They obviously did for the Dolphins game because it's at 9:30 in the morning. But especially once we get into these later games, it's going to be harder. Chicago Bears going into New Orleans to face the Saints. Saints are an 8.5 point favorite. Over under is set at 41. I like the under, and I like the Bears plus 8.5.
Really?
Wait, no, no. Let me
Derek
change that.
Carr. Derek
No,
Carr's like,
the
like
Bears are terrible versus the run, and the Saints have a very solid rushing attack. So let me change that. Let me take the Saints at home because they very well could win that game by 10.
yeah. I mean,
Let me flop because I don't think Justin Fields will be back this week either.
there was something about him being questionable, potentially coming back. Him and Kyler are both on like the same kind of level of almost back, but no, I'm not. I'm not believing in the Bears, even with Fields, man. The fact that Tyson Bagent looked as serviceable as he did and won that football game in his first game ever without Fields, like, and then Will Levis comes in and makes the Titans look like they can throw the football. Like, I'm not interested in the Bears. I feel like it's not just in Fields necessarily, it's them. It's their team. It's the way that they are being run.
I agree. I think they've absolutely got some people in the hot seat
Yeah.
up there. Now, let me take a look while I've got this pulled up here because I'm just interested in the anytime touchdowns. Alvin Kamara at minus 125, but even more so, Taysom Hill at plus 200.
What's Alvin Kamara's receptions? That's what I want to know. Because if
Al-
it's anything under like 5, then I will take that.
Alvin Kamara's receptions is set at 4.5.
Hammered. Hammer that.
The over?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to get more than 5 receptions. He's going to get that in the first half.
He's been getting targeted like crazy out of the
He,
backfield.
he got 12 and 13 in 2 separate weeks. Like, that's crazy. Crazy.
Check down city.
Yeah. And all that Derek Carr is going to do is keep yelling at people. So I'll take him yelling at people and throwing checkdowns to my guy.
All right. So moving on. Minnesota Vikings at the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons are favored at home minus 3.5 with an over under of 37.5. First game without Kirk Cousins. They did just sign for or trade for Josh Dobbs, but I do not believe he's playing in this game because
Nobody's expecting him to.
he just got there.
Also, first week of Taylor Heineke season over in Atlanta. Atlanta's not going with Ritter this week. They're giving Heineke the start.
So what I'm wondering is how a rookie 5th-round pick at quarterback in Jaron Hall is starting his first career game on the road in Atlanta, and the Falcons are only favored by 3.5 points.
The other thing is that it's not like Minnesota is able to run the football. They haven't been successful at running the football at all this entire season, except for like against the two worst defenses against running the football. So I agree with you even more. I mean, it's crazy. I guess Vegas is just too afraid because Atlanta can't really put up points. Minnesota's defense has been turning it up as of late. Like they stopped the 49ers in their track, only let them put up 17. So, enough playmakers get open. I don't know. I don't like it because Atlanta's defense has been playing so well, and all they have to do is legitimately not get Bijan sick. So, no strip clubs the night before the game, and he should be fine.
Yeah, can't go to Magic City. So, yeah, player prop wise, there's a lot of sketch in here. Taylor Heineke over 213 passing yards. That one's kind of speaking to me a little bit to hit that over. A full week of being able to practice with the guys. All of his receiving options are healthy.
Drake London is not healthy. Drake London is out.
Drake London he was declared out.
I believe so. I thought we got a notification on Bleacher Report earlier
Kyle
today.
Pitts week. My God, can we get Kyle Pitts week? Like, we've gotten some bits and tastes of him, and of course, the 1 week I decided to finally start him after, he's been going off the last few weeks. He just drops a little dud on me for 5 points. But if Drake London's out, can we just throw Kyle Pitts in that role? Because I feel like similar body types. Kyle Pitts is probably a better overall athlete.
Yeah, Drake London ruled out.
Horse shit.
Yeah, I'm all about a little bit of Kyle Pitts having success. I just don't think it's gonna happen. We talked about it last week on one of our episodes that these super athletic, super quick tight ends, they're not the guy. Like, you want Mark Andrews. You want someone who has route running, who's a big body, who can use his shoulders and his length to keep people away from him so that he can just catch easy passes. Like, you want someone that can just sit and stop and go down in cover two instead of someone that's going to try to take the top off the defense. Like Mike Gesicki, Kyle Pitts, these guys that are running sub 4.4, sub 4.5s, like, they're not getting it done. Not at this level. So I think that that's a big thing, like in evaluating future talent. I'm looking for someone that looks like Sam Laporta looked last year. They look smooth with catching the ball. They're quick in and out of their cuts and their turns, but it's not about their 40 time. You know what I mean? Not for tight end.
No, and that's why, like, you do have those unicorns that are crazy athletes, and you just want to put the ball in their hands. And yes, they are technically oversized at the position but Calvin Johnson was what, 6'4", 6'5"?
6'4". And honestly,
Kyle Pitts ran so to me, it's like, why keep leaning into that tight end role? And
he's obviously just a receiver.
Wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because if you have a guy in Drake London who is a similar body type, similar skill set, like I said, Pitts is probably a better athlete. Why would you just not convert? But it's probably the money.
Can you imagine if they had an actual person that could throw the football and they would have taken Jackson Smith and Jigba or Josh Downs instead of Bijan? how much better their receiving core would be with Pitts
Yeah,
and London
they
on the
should have.
outside, with in Jigba on the inside playing the slot role.
They
Like
should have.
that's exactly what their offense would have been able to do. All they need is anybody that can throw the football properly, and they're going
Every
to be able
mock
to.
draft, every mock draft I did, I had the Falcons taking a wide receiver
Yeah.
because my brain was just screaming, "You need pass catchers."
And they already had two good young running backs that were showcased the year before that did really well. Tyler Algier looked solid. He was going to get taken third round in fantasy football drafts.
He's still solid with the ball in his hands,
Yep.
but not to stay in Atlanta too much. Arizona Cardinals going to Cleveland. Deshaun Watson is expected back because,
Yep.
of course, he's getting to play the Cardinals. He didn't want to play last week.
No. Oh, he'll play
Arizona,
like 2 or 3 quarters, and then he'll get
Cleveland.
hurt or whatever.
No, nobody knows who the technical starting quarterback will be for the Cardinals. So because of that, Cleveland has a 9.5 point spread, which I think I like either way. With how bad the Cardinals' offense is overall and how good Cleveland's defense is, I like Cleveland minus the 9.5 and the under 38.5.
Yeah, I think that Cleveland's not going to let up very many points. I think that that's a pride thing for them at this point. Their division's also super, super tough. So, like, there's a point where they need to win games like this. Like, they cannot let the Ravens and the Bengals just run away with it.
Well, and at this point in the season, still, it's aside. Well, the Ravens are getting to where they're hitting that point to start pulling away. But even so, the division is still attainable, and for the Browns, they could still easily finish second in this division here. So I agree with you. There's really no room for them to trip up right now, especially against low level teams like the Cardinals. This is another one though to where player props aren't really posted right now. So not much to go on there. I do
Next,
like
yeah.
any Cleveland running back props versus the
So
Cardinals.
Jerome Ford's supposed to be playing this week.
So I like
he's healthy. He's not questionable anymore, which means he
whatever
fully
they put
practiced
him
today.
at. Yeah, so whatever they put him at, then I like that because the Cardinals' rush defense is terrible. Next one is our last 1 o'clock game of the day. Seattle Seahawks at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are favored at home minus 5.5. That's the sketchy Vegas spread there for you. Over under a 44.5. I like the over on that 44.5. I don't know how I feel about the Ravens at home minus 5.5. I almost like the Seahawks plus 5.5.
I agree. I think Seattle's going to keep this game really close, even though it's an away game. That's the only hard thing for me is that Seattle plays so good in Seattle, but whenever they travel, they're like the Lions. They don't play well enough on the road. So
Especially going to East
to
Coast.
Baltimore too, man,
Well,
of all the
East Coast
places.
1 o'clock time. So you figure their body clock, they're playing this game at what, 10 a.m.?
Yeah, they're like the Dolphins.
Yeah. So I mean, I I could see it going either way, and I could see the Ravens just absolutely smashing them because of those factors. But I expect Seattle to keep it close. Now, another one is this is another one right now where no player props are available, I believe. Actually, here we go. Geno Smith over 222 yards. I like that if you expect the Seahawks to be playing from behind a good portion of this game.
We talked about how the Seahawks are a lot like the Lions, man. I think that the Lions even have a better offense, and what the Baltimore Ravens were capable of doing, I think it was 2 weeks ago, to the Lions. Like, I don't know. I'm really afraid of touching any Seattle lines because of that. I would so much rather have, like, Mark Andrews receiving with an anytime touchdown, Lamar's rushing. What's his rushing at, like 49? or is it like?
Lamar's is at 44.5 and Gus Edwards is at 54.5.
Yeah, I don't want Gus's. I know that you're really high on him this week, but
Love Gus Bus.
I know.
I will literally ride the Gus Bus until the wheels fall off.
I feel like we've seen what he's capable of over the last couple years. It's the same for the other guy, Justice Hill. Like I don't love either one of
But
them.
I gotta rep my Miami products. So yeah, Gus Bus till the wheels fall off.
Oh, that makes sense. See, I didn't even know that. That makes sense why you love him so much, though.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a special place in my
so
heart.
yeah, I'm not saying that I'm just saying that Baltimore, what they did to a very similar type of team in Baltimore, it's going to be a rough environment for them, and I don't know if they're going to be able to show up. I think that the 5.5 is a lot better because Seattle also has a very good defense. They have a good coverage.
So receiving lines, you've got Zay Flowers at 56. You've got Mark Andrews at 51. You've got DK at 57 and Tyler Lockett at 48. Mark Andrews at 51 is almost smash territory for me.
So he's gone over 51 three times over the last 5 weeks. And the only times he didn't was at Arizona and Indianapolis, sorry. But
And
Detroit, Tennessee, and Pitt,
what were his totals in those games?
40 and 35. So it's not like he's doing
It's
nothing.
one reception away from
Exactly.
those. Yeah. So
And I want to say one of those was a loss. That's why it happened.
the reason I like that smash play is because I think especially the corners are obviously going to be more occupied with
Zay.
Zay. And is Odell, is he good to
He's
play?
yeah, he should be fine.
Okay. So obviously they're going to be more occupied with them, which even if Jamal Adams is fine, I don't see him being able to really shut down Mark Andrews because he's not so much of a coverage safety. So yeah, to me that 51.5 is screaming. I wouldn't be shocked if you got on here and that was up to 55 or 57.5 by game time. All right. So who we got next on the schedule? We're going into the 4 o'clock windows now. 4:05 game.
Andy's traveling to Carolina minus 2.5 with a 43.5 over.
Ooh. I do not like this game.
Yeah, I wanted to be at this game whenever Anthony Richardson was going to be there. Even
Yeah.
with him not being there, I think it would still be a fun game because Gardner Minshew versus Bryce Young is going to be a shootout. I think that these two defenses have both played pretty well. But is this a divisional game?
No, this is NFC South versus AFC South.
Gotcha. That's why. But I think that this could end up being a little bit of a shootout. I think that the the way that the Panthers offense played last week and the week before, they're starting to ramp up a little bit. And Gardner Minshew played two of his toughest matchups all season, the last 2 weeks, and he performed in both of them. So I think that we're looking at some points. I think the 43.5 over under, I would go over. That's the one thing I like about this game.
Yeah, I do feel you there. I don't like the spread either way because honestly, I just don't want to pick a winner in this game.
Nope.
So if I don't have to bet it, I'm not going to. Adam Thielen over 65.5 receiving yards and Josh Downs over 51.5. I like those spots. I do like those. And the rushing, Chuba Hubbard being 46.5, I feel like that's pretty low. Jonathan Taylor 67.5, that's right at about where I expect him to finish because you're looking to just depending on how much work they allow Zach Moss to get because he's also projected 45. So for me, I feel like if Zach Moss wasn't a factor, that number would be much higher for Jonathan Taylor.
Agreed. I think that we've been seeing this 50-50 split between the two of them, and until Zach Moss does literally nothing with his 50% of his targets and rushes, I don't think that they're going to stop doing the 50-50 split. Like they like Jonathan Taylor not touching the ball for 80% of the touches.
So, one of the best games of the week, I believe we got, in my mind, 3 games of the week. We had the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Now, I believe we've got the next one with the Cowboys and the Eagles. Cowboys are going into Philly. Right now, the Cowboys are +3 on the road. So they're getting the 3 points. Philly's getting the home courtesy of the 3 points there on their side. Over under of 46.5. I mentioned earlier that I liked the over in this game back when it was set to, I believe it was set earlier to 46 or 45, 44.5. So it's gone up a little bit. People expect some offense to get scored here. I like Dallas in this game.
+3, I like them. I think that Dallas ends up winning this game. I think that it comes down to Philadelphia's secondary. I think that Jalen Carter is going to have the opportunity to get shut down because he won't have the time to get there. And the way that they run the ball is to spread it out instead of just running it down their throat. So I think that Dallas's offense versus Philly's defense, like as long as Dallas looks like they've looked the last 2 weeks, you've been singing Dak's praises. If
I
that
was
continues,
I was literally about to say, like, this could also very easily turn into one of those games where Dak just has people in his face all night and he just makes those panic throws just trying to get it out of there, and you could see 2 interceptions on his side. The Cowboys got to be lucky that this isn't the Sunday night game, because you're going into a night game in Philly and that's just much worse. But yeah, I agree. I like the Cowboys as well. Looking at passing yards, though, Jalen Hurts over 243.5. I feel like that's set pretty low because his passing has improved very much this year, at least as far as what his, overall production has been. It also helps that AJ Brown is getting 125 plus yards a game, which is just absolutely insane right now. He said it. AJ Brown is set at 82.5 yards this week.
that's funny. That's
I
funny.
understand the pass defense for the Cowboys has been very solid. The pass rush for the Cowboys has been very solid. But for AJ Brown at 82.5 and even Devontae Smith at 51,
I was gonna say it's definitely less than 60, but it should be 60. That's what Devonta Smith's probably gonna get is 60 yards in this game. Like I don't think that he gets 125 again, but AJ's gonna get 90. Like he's gonna get that in 3 catches. Like that's what they do to him. He big bodies people, and it's not because he's taller than them. He's just stronger. He's more physical at the point of attack. That's why he's such a good receiver. I think that's silly. Now what's CD's line?
CD set at 77.5.
That
Phillies
seems
pa- Phillies
disrespectful.
Phillies pass defense hasn't been the greatest. CD is really the only target for Dak that he's been targeting. And I mean, give him his flowers. CD also went off last week.
Off. Like off, yeah.
So, I mean, I think the over in that one too, cuz like I said, if I like the over in this game, I'm going to like the over on a lot of these player props, because I expect more offense than what is being projected here. DeAndre Swift, 54.5 rushing yards, over. Tony Pollard, 51.5 rushing yards. I might would lean the under on his rushing yards, but the over on his 23.5 receiving yards.
That's a good call.
Those are really the only ones from that game that's like speaking to me right now without like actually just deep diving. Next game. This one this one is almost so bad it's actually my favorite. The New York Giants with Tommy DeVito
No, you got to
playing
you said that wrong. It's Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito playing the Vegas Raiders with Aiden O'Connell. The
This is.
over the over under is at 37.5 and I think that's about 15 points too high.
I wish that PJ Walker was playing so that we had whoever Arizona's got versus PJ Walker. And then we've got this game. And then we would also have Gardner Minshew versus Bryce Young. Like, I wish that that was the world that we lived in, that we could have had that instead.
Oh, shit. Never mind. I am very sorry.
Is
Checking
Daniel Jones playing?
Yeah,
Is he playing?
checking the updates here. Daniel Jones has returned. Daniel Jones is expected to play.
Okay, that's actually
Danny-
huge. They're
Danny
also
Dimes.
they're expected to lose. They're plus 1.5. Now, that's
I like
because of
I
the
like
head
the
coach
diet.
firing buff. They fired their head coach, dude. Their team is about to show out. Las Vegas is winning this game by 15. Like, they lost their head coach this week. That's just how it goes. Did
With-
you not hear about what Mark
If it
Davis did?
If it wasn't Aiden O'Connell. And with the way Kayvon
They had Devontae
Thibodeau-
Adams, though.
with the
He's
way
always
Kayvon
open.
Thibodeau has been playing. Do you not remember when Khalil Mack went off for 6 sacks versus them in that game? Kayvon Thibodeau is very capable of doing the same thing. So I don't like Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell, honestly, at 209.5 passing yards, hammer the under on that. Jimmy G didn't snuff that at all last week. And
Yeah.
this is the backup. Like,
Yeah.
no. Saquon over 76.5 rushing yards. I like that.
Yeah.
Especially after what we just saw.
Whatever his
Jahmyr
receiving number
Gibbs.
is, too.
After what Jahmyr Gibbs just did to this defense, give me all of Saquon to do the same thing.
Yeah, his receiving is like right around 22 yards as well. I think that that's an easy hammer. They're going to check it
Devon-
down to him. That's all that they did last week. Now, he had 3 receptions for 0 yards because he just got the ball and got tackled right away, but only takes one of those breaking for 25, and there you go.
Devontae Adams at 70.5 and Jacoby Myers at 49.5. Again, after what I saw last week with Jimmy G, I don't like the over on either of those. I would almost parlay the under on both of them. Now, granted, you can get screwed by 1 or 2 big plays from just because Devontae Adams has that ability, but I'm not trusting it.
Yeah.
I hate this game. I hate this game for player props if their name's not Saquon Barkley or possibly Josh Jacobs. I can see Antonio Pierce coming into this team and trying to just smash everybody in the mouth because he was a middle linebacker back in the league. So he does have that like mindset. But I hate this game. I hate this game so much that I love it. Would have loved it so much more if Tommy DeVito was the quarterback because it would just be a poop fest everywhere. Still like the under though, regardless of Danny Dimes being in it. That 37.5, I will be shocked if that hits.
Now, we have one more Sunday night game. Buffalo going to Cincinnati. The return of Damar Hamlin.
He's been back, but yes, DeMar
No,
returning to
the site,
DeMar,
the returning
yeah.
to the site of the
The side
Yeah,
of
dude.
the crime.
Well, I don't think any crime happened. He just got hit in the chest with like, dude, it was such a good football play. The fact that he got hurt so
It
much
was
from
such
that.
a freak accident. Like
Yes.
I don't mean to laugh, but the only reason I do chuckle is just how much it's been. Oh, DeMar Hamlin's gonna be active. Like we're reporting on a guy that's the backup or third string safety and a primary special teams player. Like I understand the story
Yep.
But we're not reporting on any other third string or backup player for anybody unless they're a quarterback. Like
Nope.
it's just so whatever. Getting more into the game.
Yes.
Bengals minus 1.5.
Yep. 50.5 over, same over as the Dolphins
Bengals are
game.
also, just so you know, 0-9 all time on Sunday Night Football.
All time, like not just
All
with Joe
time.
Burrow. How many has Burrow played? Do you know? Like one or two?
Yeah, one or two, maybe three, but 0-9 all time. I think that streak gets broken here. The Bills, not even hating as a division rival, but they've obviously had a little slackage this season. They've had some key injuries to guys like Matt Milano and Dawson Knox. However much Kincaid steps up, that's still going to be a hit to them.
Yep.
So they've got, but they've also just got some things that just seem out of whack, almost as if they feel the window closing and they're just pushing so hard every game to show out, and just mistakes are getting made, and Josh is literally trying to put it on his shoulders every single game, which I understand that mentality. But right now, with the way these two teams just have been playing the last few weeks, I've got to take the Bengals to take the win in this game. And I love the over on the 50.5. I feel like that's too low.
I don't want to blame any one player for like the slip that the Bills are feeling, but I'm going to. I think Stephon Diggs, what he did this offseason, created this
Reportedly
cloud.
did this
I'm
offseason.
just in general all the things that he's been doing, like
Mm-hmm.
the things that he says on the social media and the way that he is, and just like it's good to be hard on your team. It's good to be competitive, but to basically make it feel like you guys don't have a chance now because you messed up the last 2 years. It's silly, and it's going to lead to the team having a bit of a downfall. The Cincinnati Bengals after the bye week last week looked great, but even before that, they've been trending upward. That's all that's really important for teams at this point of the year. Are you looking at T. Higgins props at all? Like with him, I know a lot of people have been talking about this Shakir guy for the Bills, and I'm really afraid of Gabe Davis this week because of Shakir.
Yeah. Shakir's prop lines right now set at 2.5 receptions. I like the over on that. I could see 3 receptions easily, just screens, dump outs, just get the ball in his hands. His receiving yard line prop is set at 33.5. It's about where I expect, but you do see the effect because Gabe Davis is only set at 46.5. And that's where I also think you're seeing the downslide in the Bills this year is Gabe Davis isn't as solid as the number 2 wide receiver as he has been.
Nope.
And you're seeing that to where Josh just isn't going to him as much. Stephon is getting targeted almost 11 times a game right now. Now, Jamar Chase is set at 84.5, whereas T. Higgins is set at 51.5. And I do like T in that, but I like Jamar as well.
Losing Tre'Davious White, their secondary in general has been very, very banged up. Matt Milano's primary focus was pass rushing and coverage. That's what he did so well. So I think that just in general, they've lost so many pieces. The best piece that they have right now is Von Miller. And like Von Miller is an aging defensive end that used to be defensive player of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I won't be shocked if the Bills go in and win. It would be the ultimate get right game for them just to have everybody just shut up and then all of a sudden, oh, the Bills fixed it. They're winning the Super Bowl again. And what's wrong with the Bengals? But to me, this game means a lot more to Buffalo than it does to Cincinnati. Just because of the implications that it can hold on the rest of their season. I think I saw a graph earlier today to where the odds percentages this week, if for a win and a loss, And if the Bills lose this game, their chances of missing the playoffs jumps to like 70%. Just with how
One
competitive the AFC is right now.
one of these two teams is going to walk out of week 9 with 4 losses. Like that's or they both have a tie, but that's unlikely. It's more likely that one of these teams is going to have a loss, and that's 4 losses at this point in the season. Like that's a death nail in the coffin. That's not, oh, we can turn this around. You have to basically win out to have a chance at making the playoffs. You get one or two more hard games that you drop, and they can't be divisional games. You can't lose any more of those. So I think that you're right. This is a must win for both teams. I think it's a lot like the 9:30 a.m. game for both the Chiefs and the Dolphins. They have to win that game. The last two games that the Dolphins lost, I was okay with. Before we went into the game altogether, it's just that they have to beat the Chiefs because they have to be number one in the AFC. And it's the same for the Bills and the Bengals. Neither one of these teams can let the other take a step above them. They need to be the better team.
Last one.
What a matchup on Monday night, too.
Well, it should have been the
It was
Herbert versus
supposed to be.
Rodgers show.
Yeah,
That's why we're
exactly.
getting so many Jets primetime. But hey, the Jets right now have the same record as the Bills and the Bengals. The Jets are doing all they can to keep themselves alive for
Yep.
the possibility of Aaron Rodgers making a miraculous comeback. And I respect all of it. Even as a division rival, if they're able to keep themselves in the hunt and Aaron Rodgers is able to come back and just put an exclamation point on just what would be a Hollywood scripted movie, all right. I mean, fine. We'll watch it for a season. Cool. Just the Dolphins are still going to win out. So, Chargers going into New York on Monday Night Football. Chargers are minus 3.5 favorites with an over under of 40. How do you feel about Justin Herbert versus this Jets defense?
I don't feel good for Justin Herbert, man. He's been struggling against good defenses so far this season. I don't think that he's going to put up the 330 or 340 yards that's
He's only
necessary.
projected 248 right now.
I don't know
Austin
about that.
Eckler is on his projection of receiving yards is 31.5. Absolutely smash that. The Jets are going to be in Herbert's face so much. He's going to be forced to dump it out like he wants to Eckler there. Like
And the
31.5 after him just putting up 113 is insanely low to me.
and the only people he's competing with for targets are Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston, a rookie. Josh Palmer's still banged up, right? Are you seeing any lines for Palmer?
I'm not seeing any for Palmer. The only ones for the Chargers listed right now are Allen and Eckler. Eckler, on if you want to get value for his alternate yardage, you can take him at receiving 40 plus at 146 or plus 146, 50 plus yards at plus 240. I could see that him getting 50 receiving yards in this game very easily.
Very.
Brees Hall rushing yards 60. He's right at 59.9 right now.
Now, without
I
that 50
I
yard rush that he had last week, his rushing total was, I mean, it wasn't even a rush, was it?
it's
Wasn't it a
they get
reception?
they get behind in games and are constantly forced to pass, so he
Yep.
can't establish the run like they want to. But the Chargers also haven't been very good versus the run. So for me, like I could see him getting that 60 yards that you need to clear that number. I could also see that number going up in the next few days. Overall, do you think the Chargers they're going in on the road as a 3.5 point favorite? So you just kind of figured by rule of thumb, if they were at home, they're almost a touchdown favorite. Like I said, that Jets defense is for real.
I think the biggest threat to the Chargers is the curse of the MetLife. One of their major pieces, if Eckler sustains some sort of injury playing on that field in the first half, then they lose that game. But that's the only way I think that they lose it is if they
Now
lose Eckler or Keenan Allen.
you do have Zach Wilson on the other side. And for as solid as he has played this season, I will give him that. He has played much better and he has shown a lot more this season than he has in the past. Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack are coming for your throat.
Yep. And
But
now,
again, he was under duress almost all night versus Kansas City and had a great game.
yeah,
So I don't know, man.
it's
This is
it's
one
the
of those
lights
to where
too. He's played well under the lights so far this year.
I
Like,
don't want to bet the spread either way in this game. I really don't.
no, I'm more interested in some of these player props like Eckler. Even Eckler's combined is like 80.5. So I think that those are good numbers. I think that he's going to do that. He's the best player on that team right now. Keenan Allen is an older receiver, and he's going to have to go up against a good secondary. Like, it's not that Keenan Allen's going to be useless. It's just that I think Eckler's going to get more utilization because of what you said earlier. He's going to be under duress. He's going to have to get the ball out quick. He's going to have Eckler in the flats, and then he's going to get 6 yards out of it.
Yep. We did it. That's
We
it right
did.
there. I
Well,
hope we
thank
help
you.
you guys win some money.
Thank you guys for joining in. Make sure to go to Tulsi Rose Tea at tulsirosetea.com for all of your tea needs. And we will do another. We won't be doing a live show on Sunday this week, but we will be doing some more episodes to give you some more knowledge next week. And we're going to do another Funday Friday for the fans 1 week from today. So we'll see you all then.
Love you guys.
Peace.
Woo.